in y'all's minutes for the patient care funding group, page 3, the ADAP update, which was March 25th and 26th of this year, it paints the rosiest picture in town. One example, one of the bullets says, with level funding and a small increase, we anticipated getting through the 210 and 211 program year without a need for an ADAP wait list. This is March of this year. And now all of a sudden, 1 month later, you're like, whoops, we lied. We actually are going to be in the whole $60 million. Who, and I'm not blaming all that too, but why didn't back in March you say, you know what, we're not doing so hot, we need some ideas. And we would have been caught with our shorts down.
Right.
I mean, it's a plain and simple. If someone, and I don't know who gave the report, painted a really rosy picture on all of these bulletins, and just a few months later, we came out with bad, we made a big mistake.
Yeah. I think Neil and Coffin is when we got our grant award, and pretty much at that point we knew that we were going to have a serious problem for this year. So definitely was not a rosy picture, at least after April 1. So I apologize if that was the way it was relayed.
It's 4 days.
David and then Karen. Oh, Karen. You said you first, Karen.
I'd just like to comment on what Ken just said, and that is, I do remember from the last meeting that we didn't have our grant award, and you were expecting a different number than you actually got. So that report may very well have been valid on the day it was delivered. But the bad news came a week or 2 weeks later, and then action had to happen. That's just a comment. I have a question. When you're reviewing and appealing to the state to change the rule to 300% of federal poverty level, will you build in any possibility of exceptions? And this gets like down to the area level. I know we're supposed to talk about the state, but almost all of our infectious disease doctors have quit their practices and they work on the Ryan Lake contracts. So where will these people go to the doctor? Even if they can pay, they don't have a place to go.
As far as the change, we're not planning at this point to have an exception process simply because the funding is so tight and the need is so great to meet the needs of the needy, to try and get them through this year. So no, at this point there's not a plan for an exception. But again, none of these decisions are easy to make, and as someone said before, we know that there's going to be a negative consequence for someone. So I guess that's really all I can share at this point is that there's just no good decisions to make right now. We're trying to do the minimum to get us through the rest of this year without having to disrupt hundreds or even thousands of people. But I hear you, and I will make note of the exception process.
I'm not saying exception for all the programs, but maybe just exception to access medical care.
She was saying that she was wanting to know if there would be an exception process for people who have incomes over 300%, possibly just for medical care, not all line items, because of access concerns.
Bill, and then.
I was just going to say, Part C clinics won't be held to the 300%, so they should be.
We don't
if you have one available.
We don't have anything but B.
No, I'm just real disappointed to hear that there's no exception, because in all the calls that we've had, I always brought up the point would there be waivers or exceptions, and I was always assured that yes, on a case-by-case basis, that the staff from the local areas could contact the Bureau to discuss any exception cases. So I'm real disappointed to hear now that the Bureau is now deciding that there is no exceptions.
And what type of exceptions were you talking about?
Okay, like let's say in the case we just mentioned that if a client had 301%, or there was something that we could always discuss, we always had that exception process that we followed. And now it seems as if it's just gone completely out.
Well, there are other, I think, exceptions that were probably sort of in mind when we were talking about that, about people, you know, with Part D, if they were not able to get local assistance and meeting their out-of-pocket costs. That was an exception that came to mind that we talked about, that we would not have a hard and fast rule and say, well, anyone with Part D is not going to get any services from us until they expend that 2840 in benefit. So there are exceptions being planned, but maybe not for every potential scenario. But again, I will note the question about the financial eligibility, and we'll talk it through and note the interest of the group for that particular point.
Well, and sort of to address Bill's concern, you know, in our consortium, whatever the funding stream it is, whether it's GR money, whether it's Part C money, whatever, the income cap is the income cap. And I think that's part of the issue that we're going to have again with like Part A's that have, you know, raised, you know, they've adjusted to accommodate the 400, and now we go through this whole vicious cycle again. I do agree with Karen to a certain extent that, particularly for folks whose only source of dollars is Rhineline Part B, we need to look hard at that, Joe, in terms of if that's the only option they have, then we really need to look at, you know, maybe making some exceptions along the lines that Karen requested.
I'm really not talking about dental or gas cards or
Right.
anything like that. I'm talking about being able to see a doctor.
And it's a good time for this discussion, because as, you know, we'll have to go through the rule amendment process, so we'll definitely keep this particular issue for discussion.
Kim?
Can you tell me how you came up to the estimated 300 to 400 to be impacted? Because we pulled some numbers this morning, and just in area 5, 6, and 14, we estimated 186 that are Part B and GR that would fall within there, and that's just one area. So, do you know how you came up with that 300 to 400 people impacted?
Well, we're still going through the CareWare and other databases, but there were like 350 or 51 people in ADAP that would be impacted. And we realize that not everyone who is getting a Rhineline service, let's say, gets ADAP. So I think we're looking in CareWare and expect that maybe another 60 to 70 people. But I would be shocked that it would be, and you're certain those are unduplicated counts for this local area?
Yeah, they pulled it through our local system, and actually that is, the pharmaceutical, people receiving pharmaceuticals aren't even in that yet, so it could potentially be higher. So if they only receive that.
The one point would be though, because if they're just looking at ADAP or CareWare, that's not going to capture anybody from our major international.
So I mean, I think that number could be higher if we have 186 here.
We're continuing to refine that, but we do feel very confident that the ADAP number is accurate, and we should have the final CareWare number this week. And then we're going to actually do a cross match to see which duplication there is, so we'll have an unduplicated number.
Question how we as a state are continuing to support our testing efforts at this point when we don't have a care system to support linkage.
That's a very good question, one that we've asked. And all I can say is, you know, testing is through the CDC, and their funding continues to come, and the department has made the decision to continue to test people and not slow that down, because even though we're struggling to provide care and treatment services, I think there is a real obligation, or it's felt that people need to know their status, and that they can make some decisions that will certainly positively impact their life based on that. But it's quite a mixed message that the federal government's sending us by, you know, giving all these testing dollars, and yet when you find people and bring them into care, the care and treatment dollars are stagnant or reduced.
Shannon?
Hi, in your report, you mentioned that you all expect to expand the co-payment assistance services and the pharmacy benefit management because there are rebates that's available for co-payments? That if
Particularly if it's done at the central level, you know, there are a lot of local areas that do that out of their consortium or Part A line item. And I think because of the efficiencies and potential to request rebates based on the value of those meds, it's something that it would, I think, be a little bit of efficiency if we could sort of centralize that more than perhaps we've done in the past.
So, what, do you have any sort of timeline for trying to get this implemented? Because I understand there is a lot of savings in the rebates.
Well, it's something that we'll be talking about as we finalize this request for information for a PBM service. You have to go through this procurement process, and the vendor is identified in the contract, negotiated, and executed. So that capability is very important and will be a high priority for the service.
I just want to piggyback on what Jim Roth said. We haven't run the numbers in our area yet, but I can tell you that the most accurate income numbers in CareWare are coming from the eligibility people. The health departments figure income very differently than eligibility does. So if you're going to look at by the end of the week and think you have accurate numbers from CareWare, I think you should think again. And eligibility just rolled out like to the state within the last month or 2 months.
Well, Rich has the capability of bringing in HMS data also.
That's what I'm saying, is the HMS calculations of income are different from eligibility calculations. That's what we're finding.
Right, and you're correct, we're hoping.
No, it's what they count as income or not income. Yeah, they're different.
Duran.
I have a pretty big mouth, everybody can probably hear me. I'm from 5, 6, and 14, I just kind of wanted to echo off what's being said. We did run our numbers, and we do have 186 that have been served in the last, I think, just 6 months that are over the 300%. But of that 186, 73 of those are receiving COBRA payments, premiums, health insurance. They're all under health insurance. 73 of those. So then they're going to now fall off, and then if they do end up, because their premiums aren't getting paid, now they can't even turn around and come back to us under Part A, B, or GR to get primary care. I mean, there are other things. I'd rather have everybody get their primary care and their meds before they get a lot of other things that we're paying for. I just want that to really, I think we're talking about a lot more people than what y'all are. And of those, I just wanted to mention, of this 186, our pharmacies, we don't have a PBM right now. So that is just people who are getting case management and other services. That's no one who's getting prescription drugs, because they're not billing us through our computers. This is run out of our system, and pharmacy's not into that system.
Is that the ROS?
Yes. So our numbers are possibly higher than 186. Is all I wanted to say.
Bill?
Is there any consideration of just increasing for ADAP to 400%? Because we could always get drugs through apps, and at least they wouldn't be cut off from all their other healthcare services that they need. Because you're going to have people with 300% poverty level, or 301% poverty level, that have no insurance, nothing, and nowhere to get anything. And if it was only, let's just increase the ADAP to 400% and leave the rest of it 300%.
Are you saying the
Flip it around.
opposite?
The opposite, you're talking the opposite, right?
Right,
To
because we don't
reduce
need.
ADAP to 300 and leave everything else at 4?
Sure, why not? I mean, it's ADAP you're trying to save money from, right? At the same time, maybe we could make ADAP semi-annual eligibility rule and make everything else annual eligibility. Kind of separate the two out.
Novel idea.
You need the mic.